Hey guys, how are we doing today? Firstly, let me ask you a question. Have you ever thought what is the need of a subject like managerial economics when economics as a concept already exists? Um, there is the justifiable need. But the problem is when you start learning about it, it seems like there is. But when you go in depth, you want to realize it is a very fun, very nice, and very important subject, right? And we are going to take the journey together. Hey guys, I'm Jay Sastra. I've just started my MBA journey, but I've been studying economics for the past 4 years. And that's not because I failed multiple classes. It's to do with the fact that I attended college and it had economics. And even in school, like for my 11th and 12th, I had economics. So I've done a fair bit of studying when it comes to economics. Though at the end of the day, I'm just like you guys. I'm still a student. So yeah, we're going to do this together. Anyways, let's start with the basics, right? Let's start with what is economics, right? And the interesting thing is each economist has his or her definition of what economics essentially is. But one thing that always stuck with me was something that my school professor said. He told me that, economics is in the most scientific way of analyzing demand, supply, prices, etc., etc. It's to do with human behavior and how it reacts to limited resources, which I found to be very interesting because this is something that can be applied to everything. If you look at the current job market, the people who want jobs are more. The amount of jobs available are less. So any job, no matter how indirect, how inhumane, its value has increased, which follows the law of demand. Here, demand for job is more, supply for jobs is less, because of which the value of the jobs being offered is more. It's as simple as that. Law of demand, economics, these concepts, especially economic concepts, can be applied all around us. Whether it's your normal life, whether it's your business, whether it's your job, you can apply economic theories there. And that is why, in my opinion also, economics is a study of human behavior. So let me tell you something, right? Have you heard this quote? Give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. Teach a man how to fish and he'll eat for life. Problem is, with every passing day, the man is going to want more and more fish because his hunger increases. He now knows that I can get this much, now I want this much. Problem is, we all know what's the problem with fish in the sea. They're limited. And this is where the basic economic concept comes. That economics is a study of fulfilling unlimited human wants with limited resources. Very easy to understand, very simple, right? But a lot of time this seems very complex. Okay, moving on. So if this is the definition of economics, what is the definition of managerial economics? Well, managerial economics in itself, I'm not going to give you a bookish definition. By the way, on this channel, you're not going to get any bookish definitions, nothing to mug up. Everything will come on your screen, obviously. But I'm someone who wants to help you get conceptual clarity just like I do, right? And not help you mug up because I, for my life, cannot mug up things. Like if you ask me today, after 4 years, do I know proper definitions of things? I don't, right? But if you have conceptual clarity, there's a very, very high chance that when you have your exams, when you have your assignments, you're going to do much, much better. Anyways, coming back to managerial economics. Managerial economics, essentially what it does is takes the concept of economics and merges them with business practices. Now, a lot of you might be wondering, aren't business practices essentially based on economics? No. So what happens is a lot of economics, theories of economics may not apply to certain business practices. But essentially, you can't change the basics and the basic laws that economics has, right? And that is when these two things, business practices and economics, need to be merged to give you something which allows you to take proper business decisions in the most economical sense, right? Now you understand the whole concept of limited resources, unlimited wants, and the word economical. Anyways, let's move on and let's understand what is the importance of managerial economics, right? Why is it important? Why are we studying this? Why am I wasting your time today, right? We're studying managerial economics because what happens is, as a manager, you need to have a full view of things before you take any decision. And I think in the corporate world specifically, it is very important that you do this because there is a chain, and if everyone in the chain was to be unhappy with your decision, you would be out of a job. So you need to understand how the market forces are working, what is the consumer behavior, how your product is being priced. And when I said these exact things, these are the things where managerial economics can help. Demand forecasting, pricing, and the interesting part with managerial economics is it just doesn't deal with theory. It's practicality. It's how you can modify your business operations, your pricing, your marketing to fit the current economy in its state, whether it's microeconomical concepts or macroeconomical concepts, whether it's individual customer behavior or the current rate of inflation and other practices going on the macro level, right? And that is extremely important. That is extremely useful. And that is why we study managerial economics. Now, do note, I will be attaching, some pointers in the description box. So do go through that, and that will give you a more bookish way of understanding these things. Because at the end of the day, if you want to write this in a paper, you cannot give the explanation I gave. Anyways, moving on, what is the scope of, managerial economics versus economics? So essentially, economics in itself has a very wide scope because it deals with microeconomics and macroeconomics. Both microeconomics and macroeconomics have their own features, which are actually very different from each other. So what might be good in micro sense may not be good in macro sense. And one of the most famous examples of this is saving. On an individual level, saving is a very, very good concept, right? And a lot of people promote saving. But on a macro level, on a country level, it takes away the money from circulation. Now, I'm not going to explain to you right away what this whole concept of circulation is and what is the multiplier effect. These things are part of macroeconomics, and we start with microeconomics always. That is not something I'm going to explain right now. But to be very honest, what happens is, if let's say there is 100 rupees floating around in the economy, right? So one person gives another person 100. What happens is that 100 essentially gets converted into multiple sums of money because, see, you had it, you gave it. Other person had it, they gave it. So that goes on. But essentially what happens is, while this circle is going on, someone decides that, no, why should I spend my 100 rupees? I keep them in my pocket. What happens is now that 100 would have served the purpose of 1,000. But now it can only serve the purpose of 500. That is why on a macro level, it's not a good idea. But on a micro level, it's a great idea because you are going to make yourself financially more stable. Now, what are the topics that are covered under, managerial economics? Even though it's a wide variety of subjects, the topics that are covered are pretty simple, right? I have to read this because, like I told you, I don't mug up, right? We have demand analysis, we have product cost analysis, we have pricing strategies, we have market structures, and there's a lot more, which obviously is not mentioned right now because it is something that we're going to learn in due time. Now, does managerial economics have a connect with other disciplines? Yes, for sure, right? Managerial economics does have a great connect with other disciplines because what decisions as a manager you're going to take affects all aspects of your business, whether it's finance, operations, marketing, sales, so on and so forth. And that is why this is a very, very important subject, because this is like that one ring to rule them all, one ring to bind them. Yeah. This is going to create a chain reaction in your company, and it's very important that it is understood that this is going to have a lot of connects. And even when you study, unlike normal economics, you're going to study business practices too. Since managerial economics is the study of business practices plus economics, right? So you need to understand that when you talk about business practices, you're going to cover all the other areas of your business. Now, when it comes to solving whatever business problems are there, let's say your pricing strategy is incorrect. It's not giving you the results that you desire. What you do is you use managerial economics, the different concepts in managerial economics, and the understandings of the branches in your company, like when I talk about operations, marketing, sales, right? And optimize at the end of the day using managerial economics to help you grow your business. Yeah, that was complex, but what I mean is managerial economics acts as a tool or an aid to help you see the larger picture and then take a decision for your individual business in a way that the larger picture helps your business instead of affecting it. Simple. Now, what are the key concepts in managerial economics, right? First is opportunity cost, right? Now, this is the cost of foregoing the next best alternative, right? So, basically, opportunity costs are what you're missing to get, let's say, A or B. Basically, what opportunity costs are is what you have to forego. That means what you have to miss out on to be in a certain place. A lot of times you'll see, right? Your friend says that, oh, I had to miss this party just to come and meet you. So missing that party is his or her opportunity cost. Simple. Anyways, moving on, there is marginal analysis, right? Decision making based on additional benefit versus additional cost. So let me tell you, there's a concept of marginal utility in economics, wherein the concept says that there's a law called law of diminishing marginal utility. With every unit consumed, your utility for the product is going to decrease, right? That's a very interesting concept. We're going to go into in depth with that because it assumes a lot of things to be equal. By the way, anytime when you're talking about a law in economics, you have to say something called ceteris paribus. Ceteris paribus means all things being equal. Now, to be very honest, right, as life is, I think ceteris paribus is not something that is applicable in the real world, but that is where exactly managerial economics comes in. And finally, we have optimization, right? Optimization is basically you have some constraints, you have certain resources, there's limitations, and the economic landscape has its own set of challenges. How do you optimize your strategies to fit all of these scenarios, right? That's where, those are the key concepts. Obviously, I have not told you much about marginal analysis because it's a concept that needs to be learned in depth and is not something you should wait, right? Finally, let's come to the decision-making processes which are outlined when it comes to managerial economics. You have problem identification, you have analyzing the alternatives. So obviously, there are always any decision you're making, there's an alternative decision which could have been taken, which is where, right, the concept of opportunity cost comes in, right? What is the best alternative based on the economic reasoning? So let's say you have A product and B product, but B product has higher cost of making, which would increase its price. But you are in a price sensitive economy where elasticity of demand is very high. What happens is your product has a chance that it will not garner the demand you want. So what do you do? Now, any concept I'm mentioning here, we're going to learn, but just listen to it, right? What does one do? One chooses another product, right, to go to the market with, because that product has lower cost of making it, which is going to make its price lower, which is going to make it more accessible to people, which will allow the company to turn more profits. Simple, right? And you have your real world applications, right? Now, real world application essentially is, like I told you, ceteris paribus will not apply to the real world. The real world is full of complex problems and challenges. That is where you have to use your business concepts and not just economical concepts or concepts of economics, right? And that's all for today's lecture. It's already been more than what I thought it would be. So this was just an introduction to what managerial economics is. Do drop your comments if you have some suggestions, if you have some problems, if you have some comments. And I'll see you the next one. Next, we'll be going through the basic economic concepts, right? Which is very interesting. You want to learn about demand and supply. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.